It is Thursday, September 11th, a day that will live in infamy for as long as I live on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, it happened again. Somebody is dumping pallets and pallets and pallets of expired produce in downtown L.A.
First it was expired pork, and now it's produce.
The illegal dumping is rampant, and apparently there's no consequences for it, even though you would imagine with all the security cameras that we have, it would be easily identifiable as to who's dumping pallets and pallets of rotten food.
Wouldn't that have to come on a work truck?
Yes.
And wouldn't that take a while to empty?
Yes.
And nobody cares.
Nobody cares, because this is L.A.
It's not a namsy-pamsy thing.
When was downtown L.A. annexed into Oakland?
You know, one day we're going to have to do a trash off and see which city is dirtier, L.A. or Oakland, because I'm not sure.
That would be quite a contest. That much I can tell you. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. For those of you who listened to yesterday's show, you heard in real time us learning what happened to Charlie Kirk. Initially, there were reports that he was shot at, and then he was potentially hit. And then after a while, it was, oh, yes, he was hit. He was hit in the neck, and it looks bad. Then the video started popping up all over social media. And then people were blowing up our phones, blowing up our emails, saying, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. He's fine, he's fine, he's fine. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And then President Trump came out with the official word that Charlie Kirk had died thanks to an assassin's bullet. It was initially reported yesterday that there was a man in custody who they believed was the shooter. It was an older guy with a bald head, kind of looked like Jonathan Lithgow of all people. And as it turns out, that guy is just a crank, although I do believe he is being held in custody for obstruction of justice because he was such a crank when they went up and started talking to him. A second person was detained. Initially, it was believed that that person might be the shooter. Then it turns out that wasn't the case at all.
Didn't help when the director of the FBI says, we've got the guy, and then says, whoops, never mind.
Well, and then at the press conference, the FBI spokesman who was there said the opposite of what the director said. And then earlier today, we learned that there is another person of interest, and there are pictures that have been published all over social media. The suspect is at large, and based on the information that's been put in the public domain, I believe this individual who they're looking for is more than just a person of interest, but could potentially be the person responsible for the shooting. Because it's radio, we obviously can't show you the picture of this individual, but if you're online, if you're on social media, if you have access to Twitter or any of the news sites, that picture has gone everywhere, and the entire world is looking for this individual. And it would be a very good thing if we all knew that this shooter is no longer on the loose, but in custody of the cops. Now, with all of that being said, I've got to tell you that yesterday was an awful day, and we've received so many emails from so many of you, so many calls, so many of you reaching out in any way that you can, telling us that you're going through the exact same thing. I had that feeling where you feel like you're going to throw up, where you know something awful just happened that cannot be reversed, and you're just numb. You're numb, you're disgusted, you're sick, you feel like throwing up. And that was me, and that is me. And yesterday's show was one of those shows where I couldn't wait to get off the air, and usually the opposite is true. I love my job. I love doing what I'm doing. I love being here with each and every one of you from noon to 3 every weekday. But yesterday was one of those shows I just didn't want to do because there was nothing good about it. There was nothing positive. There was no fun to be had. It's just a sad story about a young man who was murdered in cold blood due to his politics, a wife who is going to be a widow, and children who aren't going to have a father at home. And there's just no way to make lemonade out of those lemons. It's just not possible. So after the show yesterday, I decided that I'd exercise, because that's a good way to just get your mind off of things. You're expelling energy. You're doing something productive. And usually when I exercise, it's easy to get out of whatever mindset I'm in. If I'm in a bad mood, or I'm stressed out about something, or I'm irritated about something, going for a run is something that will help me. It's not the case for everyone else. For some people, you go for a swim, go for a bike ride, lift weights, play basketball, whatever. For me, it's running. So that's what I did last night. And I just decompressed, and I stayed away from my phone for an hour, and I stayed away from the television for an hour, and I just listened to music and tried to forget about what's going on in the world. And then I made the mistake of taking out my phone and looking at social media. And social media earlier in the day was disturbing because it was just bad news, and it was a million people sharing that video, a video I wish I hadn't seen. And I'm trying to get those images out of my head. But at night, it was something different. At night, it wasn't the bad news because the news stopped coming in. The event took place, and we knew what happened to Charlie, and we knew that the guy who was arrested wasn't the guy that they wanted, and nothing really changed from the time we went off the air until this morning. What disgusted me last night was the reaction that I saw on social media among those whose politics are very different than Charlie Kirk's. And what's interesting to me is the fissure that took place. Because Democratic politicians, by and large, with a few exceptions, but by and large, took the high road on this one, where they expressed sympathy for him, sympathy for his wife, sympathy for his children, and they didn't grind axes. The governor of Illinois was an exception. A congressman from Massachusetts, Moulton, was an exception. And that idiot who got fired from MSNBC was an exception. But for the most part, and Elizabeth Warren, add her to the list. But for the most part, most of them had a reasonable reaction. Now, that could be for a couple of different reasons. One is they're professional politicians, and they know that dunking on someone who just got assassinated is a bad look. It may play to a certain segment of your base, but to the overall population, you look like a jerk. And they understand that. They're in the business of getting more votes than the other guy, and they know that by doing that, that won't help them in that pursuit. There's also an occupational hazard, because if all of a sudden anyone whose politics you disagree with, who's a public person, becomes fair game, that's an occupational hazard for them, because half the country disagrees with them. And you want people to express their disagreements with words and not with bullets. There's a bias there. And I think a certain amount of that was at play. But while Democratic politicians largely behaved, the Democratic individuals in my own personal social network did not. My social media feeds last night were vile. Off the charts, disgusting. Worse than when Trump got shot in the head. Worse than when Trump won the election. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. The jubilation, the celebration, the spiking the football, the dancing in the end zone. And when confronted about it in the comment section, which many of them were, they doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. They don't care. Meaning, if you were looking at the bad news yesterday and you thought, oh my God, will the fever break? Will we finally get beyond this and Will cooler heads prevail? I think the answer is no. And I feel fairly comfortable making that prediction. I wish it wasn't true, but based on what I saw last night, it was. And maybe some of you experienced the same thing. I bet you did. I got a call last night from a friend who's a public school teacher who team teaches with another teacher. My friend is right of center, and the teacher she teaches with is left of center. And when they were getting together talking about what the lesson should be for the next day, the teacher that she teaches with suggested that they do a lesson plan for the kids, explaining to the kids how Charlie Kirk's words are responsible for him getting shot, which is some variation of what the guy on MSNBC said, and then he got fired over it. And this was the lesson plan that this guy wanted to put in front of the kids. And my friend flipped out, and the other teacher then went to the principal and tried to turn my friend in. And after she told me that story, a light bulb went off in my head about the ugliness that I've seen on social media over the last several hours. There were a lot of teachers in my social network who were the real bad actors. There were a lot of people who work in public health who were real bad actors. A lot of government workers who were real bad actors. I didn't find many business owners who were putting out vile stuff. I didn't find many people, oddly enough, in broadcasting. People I worked with through the years. Didn't see many of them putting out outrageous things on social media, even the ones I know who disagree with Charlie Kirk. Didn't find people in the engineering profession engaged in this sort of behavior. It was those three groups who were posting these negative things over and over and over again. And then another light bulb went off. These were the people who wrecked our lives during COVID. Same group of people. Teachers shut the schools down. Public health professionals wanted to require all of us to take the shot and wear the masks and all those things. Government workers, we're going to work from home, if at all. And I thought to myself, we have a real problem here. We have a real problem where there are people who are out there who are willing to put really vile things on social media, not under the cloak of anonymity, which is usually the case. Usually it's Grandma Cat Lady 52 that puts out something nasty, and you have no clue who that is because the person is anonymous. But when they're doing it on Facebook or they're doing it on other platforms where you know the person, they're not some anonymous bot. They're someone you went to school with. They're someone you used to live next to. They're someone you're related to. There's someone you go to church with, someone you used to work with. You know what I'm talking about. We're not talking about some outside entity trying to manipulate you by putting red in front of the bull. We're talking about people you know writing vile things meant for you to read. That's what I saw last night. And I'll tell you, because I was thinking, what do we do about this? And there are a lot of people who are reporting these people to their employers and trying to get them in trouble and those sorts of things. That's not going to fix the problem. That's just going to make them angrier. What I was thinking about is with the world changing the way it is with AI, and it's my understanding, based on everything that I've seen and read about AI, that any job that's repetitive is likely to be replaced by robots, by technology, by fill in the blank.
What if you do 3 hours of radio a day?
Hopefully we'll be the last ones out the door.
We're screwed.
But teachers give the same lecture 5 times a day. Government workers, they process paperwork at the DMV all day. They process prisoners in and out of the prison. they screw things up at the DWP. You know what I'm talking about here. Whenever it is that we remake these professions, and all of these professions will be remade with AI, we need to figure out how to reform them, because I don't think we can reform the people who are there now. I don't think you can fix that. They are what they are, and it's baked into the cake. But when they go away and they get replaced by robots and machines, we need to make sure to find a way to do it so that it's based on facts, it's based on actual knowledge, and political ideology has nothing to do with how these professions do their business. Because right now, the people who are running those professions, by and large, at least the ones in my world, are pure poison. And they put that poison on display last night for all to see. Maybe you saw the same thing. Maybe you saw something totally different. I'd like to hear from you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Right now, we're taking your reaction to the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the fallout that we've seen play out on cable news and social media at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Johnny in Pebble Beach. Johnny, hello.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, shocked. I flew him around. I'm a lieutenant commander with the United States Navy, and I flew Charlie. What a good family. What a good guy. I mean, just stunned. All I got to do is I sat down, had a glass of wine, and I go, God, this country is something's wrong. I mean, he was such a classy guy. He was most of the young people won't understand he was the William F. Buckley of a younger generation. What a genius he was. And his family, what a sweet person. And I cried. I mean, I've served in Iraq. I've served it's just like, it was just sad. It was just, and I wasn't there when John F. Kennedy died. But, I mean, for my generation, he was just such a sweet soul. And that's just, I mean, you met him. I mean, what was your reaction?
Well, I was sickened. I have not met him in person, by the way. We both worked in radio. He worked for another shop. He worked for Salem. I worked for Cumulus. And so because of that, your paths don't normally cross because he does events with his company. I do events with my company. And it was just one of these things where we never appeared at the same event on the same stage. Is it common as a pilot to meet people in the back of the plane, or was this something special that he did that not a lot of passengers do?
I fly. I won't name who I also fly around. I fly around a certain former CIA director out of Monterey. You'll know who it is. I don't know if the name, his wife is Sylvia. We won't name the names. But I meet everyone. I know everyone. We sit and talk. My father flew 44 missions for General Doolittle. I come from a legendary 5-generation Army Corps of Engineers family. We know everyone. I know Caruso. I've flown him around. And I fly Citation X jets. I fly everyone's planes because the United States Navy, we're the best pilots in the world. But what I mean is we sit and we talk, we joke around. You know, I come from a family that's we've done very well because we bought a lot of properties on the VA. You know, but what's shocking is like L.A., Caruso was such a good guy. He should have won his mayor. You and I would both agree with that. He should be governor of California. And we got Villaraigosa that just got recommended by Bass. I can't believe we've gotten to this level of utter incompetence where Gavin Newsom has no soul and none of these people. And I agree with you. The reaction is shocking. And Gavin Newsom and none of them, he did an online thing with Charlie. And me and him will sit and talk. No, I'm a pilot? No, I'm not a normal pilot. I just do it because I'm reserves. But what I mean by what you guys do, Charlie was a gracious person. I knew Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager was a great guy. You're a great guy. I knew Rush Limbaugh. These people would sit and talk with you, but you know William Buckley was. I mean, these were gracious, good people. And my dad was good friends with Ronald Reagan, who was good friends with Tip O'Neill, and they always did joke with each other. I grew up with that. What happened to California politics, where you could agree to disagree, but you would still do something good for California. Edmund G. Brown built what? The California Aqueduct, right? To run the water across California. I know the history of California. If you fully knew who my family was, part of the family did Sunset Magazine, the magazine of Western Living. That was part of my family. But it was about graciousness to people, and we've lost that. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, this is just insanity to me. I can't believe this. And I agree with you. I'm in Pebble Beach, and a lot of the neighbors hate me because Johnny supported Charlie Kirk. He's a military family. I mean, what did you think about the people reacting to you? I want to hear what you say.
Well, I'll tell you, I would have told you something different a year ago or 6 months ago. I would have told you that the anonymity of social media has made the culture crass, where you can do or say whatever you want because there are no consequences. You can create whatever profile you want for yourself, and you can put out whatever it is that you think will get a reaction, or whatever boutique political beliefs that you have that you think will inflame people, and you do it either because it amuses you or that's what you really believe, and you feel like you have the ability to do that because no one will be able to identify who you are. What happened yesterday was different, though, because people were attaching their names to the outrageous things that they were putting on social media. They had no problem doing it. They felt emboldened. They felt as if it was the only sane opinion to have. And they put it out without thinking there would be any consequences, or without thinking anyone would disagree with them, or anyone who is intellectual or educated would disagree with them. And that, I think, is different. That, I think, is new. That wasn't the way it used to be even a couple years ago.
Hollywood? But what do you think about Hollywood, where no one in Hollywood has come out and said this is disgraceful? John Boyd, I know John. No, I'm not a normal pilot. My family did Sunset Magazine. We also are the Froman family. We did the ArcLight. We did Pacific Theaters. There was a graciousness in L.A. There was a Democrat or Republican. You cared about the town. You cared about L.A. You cared about it not being, as you guys, I love your show, by the way, because you guys tell the truth. They've turned it, Karen Bass is an embarrassment. Caruso should have been mayor of L.A., but yet these nutless monkeys, that's from Tropic Thunder, by the way, I have to give accreditation to it because we are on radio, but that is what we've got now. We literally have Les Grossman. I wish Les Grossman was running California. We literally have the dumbest people running California, and social media is just an example of it. I mean, it's just, I can't even. Michael Zworlin's a friend. He owns KFCO in Santa Cruz. You know the station. I mean, he's a legendary old station, but we were talking about this. What happened to California? Where there was great talk shows. Like, you're the last of the Mohicans, right? KGO, you're on 810 out of San Francisco. But the legendary talk radio shows, you're the last of, God bless you guys. I'm just shocked. I'm just dumbfounded.
Right.
You think you're dumbfounded.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Let's go to Carl in San Jose. Carl, hello.
Yeah, hi, John. I just wanted to say that it doesn't surprise me one bit that you're getting all this poisonous reaction online. I mean, the one woman, I can't remember her name, in Congress asked for a moment of silence for what's happened to Charlie. And the left, the Democrats start screaming no. They start creating a ruckus and yelling. This is the stuff that's hurting our nation. I don't know how else to put it. We're dying within. It's awful.
All right. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Tom in La Mirada. Tom, hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Good.
As good as you can be, right?
Yeah.
The point I was going to make is that the last time that somebody got half-mast honors was MLK Jr. for a political assassination. I mean, I don't think the left or the right understands the importance of what has happened with him being assassinated, because usually the half-mast, like, it's going to be all over the federal buildings in the United States. It's going to be in all the embassies across the world. He's going to get half-mast honors. And like I said, I don't think anyone realizes how important he was. He's being compared to like MLK Jr. as far as his effectiveness of how he's going to affect society, and that's why he got killed. So I just want everyone to take that into perspective, that all across the world, he's going to be honored.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Right now, we're taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Kate in San Mateo. Kate, hello.
Hi, John. Thanks for taking my call. I was at a San Mateo school district board district yesterday, last evening, and I was horrified. I had never been before. And when a woman called from a local area and she wanted to honor Charlie's memory, the left side of the meeting entirely left, rude. I mean, they just booed and rude, and they, fingers down. I have thumbs down, and it was horrific to watch. And then I listened to the reason for the meeting. They're trying to redo the parental rights, get some of the parental rights back into their in policy, and all these kids came and they're so confused and they're so frightened, and the school board is telling you you'll be safe with us, and all these women with multiple letters on their degrees and what gender they are, multiple genders, they're all saying these kids need to have us protect them. The school needs to protect these children that are ambivalent about their sexuality. And so I got up there and I said, there's no discipline here. There's no rule of law here. Those are minors. They are going to have questions, and they're going to have unhappinesses. You can't fix it, and you're not going to become Children's Protective Services because they've done a horrific job, and you're making it worse. So I just wanted to tell you that there is a transgender lobby, and I was told this by a plastic surgeon in a local area. He's huge, and he's gay, and he said the transgender lobby is the biggest lobby in the world. So they have a lot of power. They have used their power, and they were going against Charlie. And the one thing Charlie said was his downfall, I think. He said he was not going to let Mom Dami win in New York. That's not going to happen on his watch. And they came after him for that because they need New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, they will take New York City. And we will discuss off air. But
all right. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Ralph in Whittier. Ralph, hello.
Hey, words have consequences and actions have consequences. About January 2024, I was one of a handful of people that went with Alex Villanueva to appear before the Civilian Oversight Commission. And we were greeted by a couple members of BLM, one of whom happened to be Melina Abdullah, who was also on staff at Cal State LA. I've never seen the term MFer used so many times in such a short period of time as she used, and she had a cell phone out. She was videotaping her contact with Alex. Cussed him out. The whole purpose was to try to get a fight started. One of the people that was there with her cussed out Alex's wife. I saw the whole thing happen. People like that, they have whatever their opinion happens to be, and they deeply believe that if you don't feel the same way that you do, that they're going to bully you, harangue you into falling in line or just shutting up and going away. Abdullah and her group were in front of the Hall of Justice. You can find them there every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. They were there yesterday when my wife was leaving the office. They just harangue everybody they can. And again, it's either to change your position, or more than likely, if they can't change your position, it's just to get you to shut up. The other thing, too, and I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but there's a city councilman in Downey that posted on his social media regarding Kirk, no one mourns the wicked. This is a sitting city councilman putting that on social media who you will find out when you look into it was a former deputy DA. That's what we're dealing with. There's no exchange of ideas. It's just you either think the way we do, or we change your mind, or we're just going to pressure you and bully you until you shut up and don't say anything at all. And unfortunately, that's what we've devolved to. But that's just my take on it.
Well, thank you so much for the call. And we know we play sound from these meetings at the county level, the city level, frequently on this program. It's chaotic. It's like a circus. And it's like a circus in any number of ways. We generally just try to find the funny parts, but there's really outrageous parts too. And you just described some of those. And it's part of the reason that we have the local government that we have here in California. Let's go to Paul in Van Nuys. Paul, hello.
Thank you very much. I'll try to make it brief, although there's so much to say. Remind everybody that doesn't know, 1964, when Barry Goldwater accepted the nomination against Johnson, he said, quote, "Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice." How do you stop a revolution from coming? We're seeing the how do you stop the overthrow of a country? We're seeing the overthrow of our country. Academic freedom only exists for the left and Marxists. There's no white supremacists that are teaching in the schools. There's no, it only applies to them. Academic freedom only applies one way. How do you stop a revolution when you're seeing the revolution? There is a way to stop it, and it's the only way to stop it. And I'm sure we can figure it out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Sina in Hollywood. Sina, hello.
Hi. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, goody. Okay, so I have really relevant things to say, so just give me that time.
You got about 1 minute.
Okay, I think I can do it. Okay, so I want to do like Kennedy, the other Robert Kennedy, King, and then Kirk. With King, the NG and the Kirk, they're only 4 letters apart. And the visual, I only have a double cell battery like a radio. I don't have a freaking gizmo cell phone. I don't have cable.
What's the number for Coast to Coast?
What did you just say? You're not supposed to interrupt. I got the freaking 60 seconds. So, shame on you. Am I still here?
West of the Rockies, call 800-618-8225. East of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033.
You're really a bad boy. The visual, I didn't see it, but Kirk is going to live forever, going to go down in history. He's one of the 4 now. Now it isn't just the 2 Kennedys and King, it's the Kirk. And all these young children now are going to have that visual that we had.
Whoops. I am a bad boy.
What a way to end the hour. All right, the Fix California hour's next. Susan Shelley will be joining us. It's the John Phillips Show.